everyone, what's up? This is Simon from DevDectic. Today we will build a simple drawing app using the canvas element and not only stopping there, but also saving the images of our canvas to the file system using Ionic and then loading them. So let's get started. There's a lot to do. I've created a blank new Ionic app, and you can go ahead and first of all add the needed Cordova plugins. So the Cordova SQLite storage plugin is needed so we can use the Ionic storage and really store the information in the SQLite database of the app. So run the first command, and we don't need the Ionic native package for the Ionic storage because it is already included when starting a new app. Second, install the Cordova plugin file. We need this one to get access to the file system so we can create and write a new file to our app's data directory, and for this we also need the Ionic native package. So once this is done, we can go to our app module and import both file and Ionic storage. So file from add Ionic native, no code completion today for me, I guess. Okay, at least some. And the Ionic storage module from add Ionic storage. The Ionic storage module goes directly to our imports for root. So this is set up, and file goes to the array of our providers. And that's all for the setup phase. You can run this on the browser, but the problem is we can only test the canvas functionality, but not the saving functionality of the files, because this requires Cordova plugins, which we don't have on our browser. Anyway, let's continue with our homepage. I can also bring the Ionic lab in so we can at least see if we got some typos. All right, so close this. Let's go to the homepage, CSS and TypeScript file. Perhaps we start today with the HTML. So let's call this Ionic canvas, some color, just it looks a bit nicer. All right, first of all, we add no bounds to the Ion content, because this helps when we use the canvas and you don't get this effect where you can still scroll a bit more at the top. So no bounds for us. And then we will put the canvas into a container which uses Ion fixed, and this works not completely as you might think. So you could think this is now a sticky element, but actually it's in a separate container, and therefore the content of this div will be above our Ion content. So we have to add a little trick. Let's call this fixed container, and we will add some CSS and additional logic for this inside our class later. Then we need a little color selection, and we will have an array of colors inside our controller. So we can say let color of colors, and we will make this more or less duplicate. We want one example where we got a little box of the color, and below the box we will have an Ion row using the radio group and an ng model like this, which will be our selected color. So you will see that this results in two rows under each other, and in here we got the Ion call again using the same ng4 like before, perhaps text center so the button is in the middle, and then Ion radio value will be the actual color, and then no value inside. So this is just a row with checkboxes, and this should become a row of the actual colors. So we can directly use the color for the background in here, and perhaps also add a little class color block and make this one tappable as well if you want to. So when clicking this, we call select color with the current color, and that's it. Perhaps we could add the color block CSS already. So simply height of 40, just some basic stuff. And the colors array, let's bring this in. Just a basic array of colors and one selected color in the beginning. So if we save this, we see that this is not exactly how it should look like, but I'm sure this will, I think we need to close the row. Yeah, of course we need to close this one row. Oh, come on. Ion row, one too much. Okay, looks a bit better. It's not yet the final result. We will make this look even better with our fixed container soon. But you see that we already got the color selection and the select color function. Let's implement this really quick because it's so simple. Selected color equals color. So now we can both select the checkbox and also the color above, and this gives us a nice effect for our color selection. But let's continue with the canvas. So we got our rows, and then we create a simple canvas element, calling it image canvas, so we can access it as a view child later on. Image canvas. And then we implement or listen for the touch start and the touch move events that occur on this canvas element. We do this so in the beginning we can start our drawing using the event and the position of the event, and then we use a function moved with the current event to draw the actual line between two spots. And that's basically our canvas element. Perhaps we need a button as well. So button, ion button, full, click, and with this button we want to save the canvas image. So here we will create an image from the canvas element, whatever is inside, and store this image to our file system. Finally, we craft an ion list below, which will display our loaded images. And we only want to display this if an array has more elements, so otherwise we don't need this list anyway. For some UI, add a header, previous drawings, and then we get to the ion, to the actual elements, which will be cards in our case. Select object of stored images, which will be an array, and also we might need the index, so simply do it like this, some more formatting. And then ion card content, just like this, and the content will be the actual image source, but we don't have the path of the image at this point, so we need another function, get image path, which we will implement in the controller very soon. And finally we add another row with a button, full, color, danger. You might know what this will be. Click, remove image, add index, and then simply the index. We could actually make this an icon only button and use for the icon the ion icon trash. Okay, I think that's all for the view. If we update it, yes, we don't have the array yet. And also we might want to add some more CSS for the canvas. So display block. Yeah, now you know I'm German. Okay, funny characters. And the border 1 pixel solid, just so we see the actual boundaries of our canvas. But now we get to our controller. We already got our colors, but we need a few more things. So first of all, we need view child. We need our image canvas, which will be a canvas element, and we need add view child. Where's my auto import? Okay, it works. The content of our page, which is needed for the fixed container logic. So this will be of the type content. Should be imported from Ionic Angular directly. And then we got another view child, and this one is the fixed container we created earlier. Fixed container any. Then we got more elements. We got the actual canvas element, which we can access through our image canvas view child using native element later. Then for the canvas, we need a save x number and a save y number. So these will mark our starting point inside the drawing, and then we will connect the lines along the way. We got the selected color, and of course we need stored images, which is an empty array in the beginning. So I think we got all the basics. Let's see how the view looks. Yeah, that comes closer to what we think. But we're not using the complete width, and we cannot say if stored images is working or not, and if the fixed container is working. But anyway, let's continue by checking our storage. In the beginning, storage, yes, from Ionic storage, exactly. And always make sure that the storage is ready when you use it, like in your constructor or early in the page, because otherwise it might not yet be ready. So once our storage is ready, we try to get the array of images from the storage, and therefore let's establish a const storage key up here and call it whatever you like, image list, for example. And then we can use this storage key all the time and don't need to check which keys we have used. So when we get data back from the storage, and if the data is actually not null, we can set our stored images to the data, otherwise we will continue with the empty array. Now we get to the initialized logic for the fixed container. So let me bring this in real quick. So these two and these. I got this from an open issue on the Ionic GitHub page inside the tutorial, which is linked below the video. You can also find the link to this. It basically gets some offset and adds some margin to the actual scroll stuff on the page. So if we do it, we won't see a change here because we don't have something here. But normally if we won't do this and had a scroll list here, we could scroll the complete canvas and image row out of the view, which is not exactly what we want to do. Okay. Finally, Ion view did load as well. And here we can set our canvas element to this dot canvas native element, and then set the width and the height of this element. So for the width, I would say we take the current platform width, which would be from also platform dot get no. Actually, it's just width, and make this a string as well. And then same for the height, but let's set a fixed height of 200 for this element. So now we see suddenly we got a lot cleaner UI. We can select the colors with this nice little ion row and form group. We got the canvas, but still nothing in here. And then we got save image, which also won't work by now. Okay, select color is ready as well. So let's start with our drawing functions. We got start drawing with an event, and we got move or moved also with event. What's the actual name? Moved and start drawing, fine, works. Event of course goes there. When we start drawing, we simply set our save X to property of this event. So you can inspect the event, and you will see that it will be right here. And also we need to set our initial Y position to this. Now if we use it like this, we will likely run into trouble because the canvas is not completely at the top starting at 0, and we need to calculate in another variable. So we get the canvas position from our canvas element using get bounding client rect. And now we use the canvas position to subtract two values right here. And this finally fixes the real position of our canvas. And I think we can we use it here as well? I think we can. So here we do it as well, but we create values current X and the same here. Okay, so now we're in the move function and we need to draw our rect. First of all, we need to get a context we can draw on, and this can be done by calling get context 2D, and that's now our drawing context we can do all kinds of funny things on. First of all, you can set up some stuff, how the lines should join each other. Round looks actually the best. There are two more options, but they don't look as nearly as good as this one. Then for the stroke style, we use our current selected color, and then we got the line width, which we will simply set to 5. If you want to, you could of course also add a selection for the width in here as well. Then we start the actual drawing by calling begin path, and we let our line, let's scroll this a bit up, move to our saved X and saved Y position. And then we say, please create a line to the current X, which is the one of this event, and the other value. So we begin the drawing, we start by our initial point, we move to the new information point, and then it's already done. We call close path, and finally stroke to paint it. That's it. And once this is done, we can set our saved values to the new ones. And the next time this function is called, everything will work again magically. So if we done this right, we might be able to draw on the canvas now already. Sometimes this is not so good or not really working inside the browser. Let's try a different way. No. Yes. So with the Ionic Lab and Surf, it is not working, but if you specify or select this toggle device toolbar and get this funny preview of your app, which not looks 100% correct as you can see. But anyway, you see that we got the different colors and we can already write on our canvas. The next step is to save our actual image to the file system. We can't test this on our browser anymore, but we're already fine with what we got here. So let's continue with the save canvas image function. And also I will bring in another helper function, which is to convert base 64 string to a blob data. And you can find this under the video inside the tutorial. No need to type all of this. So this is a standard function I copied from Stack Overflow, I guess. So to save our canvas, we can create an actual base 64 string using canvas element to data URL. I could also log this out so you see that actually there is some data involved. So magic drawing, save image, and we can see we got some data. So now we only need to convert this data and then save it. Also, what makes sense is to clean the canvas once we're done and save this. So if you want to clean it, simply get the context again and call clear rect from 0, 0 to canvas.width and canvas.height. Okay, so this is completely optional, but I think it makes sense to clear it in that case. So now we need to construct everything for the file plugin. And of course we need to import the file plugin. File, make sure it comes from Ionic native and not some other file. And the file expects, if we want to call write file, a name, a path, and a actual text file, or create file in this case. No, I think we use write file. Anyway, let's create a new name for the file using the current time plus .png. So it will be some timestamp.png, which is unique enough for this case. The path to our file will be the data directory. Of course, you could specify something else, but this is directly inside your app. You can use some options if you want, but we don't need them actually. And now we need to convert our data to a blob. And therefore we first of all, the step which took me kind of long to figure out is this, because you see this string and we need to cut this from the string to convert it to a blob. Otherwise we will always get an error message that the string is badly formatted or something. So first of all, from the data URL, split it, actually call the split function perhaps, split at this and then not take the first but the second element, which is 1 in an array of course. And then we can create the blob using our function and passing in the data and also the content type, which would be image PNG. So now we finally got a blob which we can store on our file system. So we can use write file. Write file path is what we created before. File name is name. And then text file blob array buffer is our blob. So then we get something back. And at this point, you could also, of course, add an error message to check if it's working on your device or whatever. But in the success case, we have now written the file to our system, but we still need to store the information. All right. So store image should use the image name. And this function will take care of adding it to our Ionic storage so we can later load all the information again. Therefore, we call store image with a new name, which is enough to store it. We don't want to store the full path to the file because this path might change at the later startup. And therefore, we only use the name, and we will build the name always new using the data directory from Cordova, which will be the correct path, and then plus the name. Okay, I hope you're still with me because it will get easier now. So save object is just an object. In our case, I just put the image in here. You could also have an array of the strings, but perhaps you want to store more information with the image when it was created or whatever. And then we push it to our stored images. And of course, that's not enough. We need to set this image now to the storage. So we use the storage again, set, and we can use our previously created key. No need to find out which key was used. Add the array stored images, and then something good will happen or not. The list of the images can get a bit longer, and as it is fixed, you might not even notice that a new image was added. Therefore, I create the reference to the content, so we can now call scroll to bottom, which will scroll the list to the bottom. But actually, we should put this in a nice little timeout here, because when you execute it immediately, the image might not be loaded yet. So let's add a super short delay and then scroll the list to the bottom. Okay, just two more functions left. We had the remove function, so let's add this one, add index, and then we had the function to get the actual path to an image. So image name. Okay, these are the last two functions we need today. So first of all, when we remove the image, we use our stored images, call the splice function at the index, and remove one element. So removed will be now an array consisting of one element. And we don't only need to remove it from stored images. I made this error in the beginning, but had to change the tutorial then. We of course have to remove the real file as well. So therefore we use file data directory again. File name in this case is removed at the position 0. Remember, this contains one element. And then the name is .img, just like we created the objects before. So once this is done, do whatever you like to with the result, or even catch the error if you want to. Finally, set the images as well, but no need to scroll again in here. So that's our remove function. Perhaps console log removed. And if we want to error. Okay, just like this. Now finally, as I said, the image path should be created not using the absolute path. So therefore we only have the name and need to construct the path. So it will be at somewhere in this .file.data directory plus image name. And if you're running this app on iOS, you might get into trouble with the WK web view. Therefore, we need a little fix in here, which comes actually directly with Ionic, called normalize URL. Yeah, this one. Rewrites an absolute URL so it works across file and blah blah blah. And normally this should also come directly from Ionic Angular. So you might not know this, but it exists. Now you know it. So we get the path, we normalize it, and then we return it, so the image displayed will be the right one. Okay, the app will not work here with the saving functionality, so of course you can try it. Actually, this should not happen. Okay, I guess it's trying to access the storage, and then if it's undefined, okay, that's also a good point. Perhaps I should use undefined in here. Anyway, we can't use this app in the browser now anymore. So let's build this for a platform. I pick iOS and see how it looks there. Okay, so there was another tiny issue with our app, and the actual path can be gotten from object.image, of course, inside the HTML. So make sure you fix this. And then I started the app on my simulator. So again, we can draw some more. And then once we are finished, we can hit save image. Sorry. And then we can see that we got the first image in the list. Now let's add a few more. And we see the swipe or scroll down event to the bottom of the list. And also what we can see is we can scroll this part of the view, which is the Ion list, and this area is completely fixed at the top. So perhaps you don't even enjoy the tutorial, but the fixed element at the top is really useful and amazing. So of course you can now edit and change all your great drawings if they're not as good as you might think. So easily removed from the storage and as well the file system. So that's how you create a drawing canvas using Ionic, converting the canvas to an image, saving it, loading it, and everything you need to know about the data URL. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to subscribe to my channel and check out the other Ionic videos. There's a lot more and a lot more coming, of course. And also check out the ionicacademy.com if you're interested in a great training resource for Ionic, covering courses, projects, and a great community to help you build your epic Ionic apps. So I'll see you inside the next video. Have a great day and take care.